Hello, everybody. I'm Russell Hill. I'm your host for the WTF podcast, but this is a really special one. This is a then and now series. And I'm joined today by...
Hello, everyone. I'm Charity. I'm your co-host here. Now, let me introduce our guest today, Michael Barich, the FixedOPS doc. We've had him on the show a few times, but boy, things have changed for you, Mike. We're happy you're here today.
Well, thanks for having me. Things sure have changed. What journey?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, so go ahead, Charity.
Oh, okay. Well, you were one of the most productive FixedOPS directors in the States, one of the highest ranking, and now you're a small business owner. So tell us how that happened.
Well, I happened to go through a health episode that I was encouraged to get away from the dealership world by a neurosurgeon. And I don't know if you can see this right now, but that is a heart monitor. I'm wearing one right now because I'm still going through some testing and they're keeping an eye on me. So anyway, I just thought with the recommendation, what would I do next? And I've been in the automotive business all my life, started when I was a young man and arguably was a pretty good FixedOPS director. But 2 years later, I would tell you, I'm a shitty small business owner. I don't know what I don't know. I mean, this all came about very quickly. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that I absolutely love the ability to tour the country, go into other dealerships, meet with some FixedOPS professionals that are really looking to take in some information and learn to make their dealerships more profitable, make their customers happier, and ultimately make their employees happier. So it's been an amazing journey, and I'm thankful for every day I get to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Listen, Michael and I and Charity, we've known each other a long time. I think he was one of the first or second that was on. And then we started this new thing called Then and Now. And this is really quite interesting because he was, when he left, #1 Nissan store in service in the country, parts, labor, and tire sales. Did I get that right? Just making sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If I wasn't right, trust me, Michael would let me know. So anyway, it's been really interesting watching him and his journey. And that's why we're doing this special segment, because we have enough now people then versus what they're doing now. So it's been really, really enlightening. And I'm going to let Charity go from here.
All right, Mike. How do you raise the motherfucking bar?
Whoa, hold on, Charity. Did you just say that?
Yeah, raise the motherfucking bar.
Boom!
The only way you can do that, quite honestly, is never getting to the goal. So I think that for my entire career, I've been ultra competitive and always had some focus on the future and setting some goals, whether it was for myself personally and or my teams, right? So I think setting a goal is the first start, and then you have to obviously work towards it. But the reality is, as you get closer to obtaining and achieving that goal, you should be realigning your expectations for what the next goal is. So I think the way to raise the motherfucking bar is just never get to the goal. I think you just keep moving. And if we're on a mission of continuous improvement and finding the best version of ourselves, well, then that bar keeps moving. So we truly will never fulfill all of our goals. I don't believe so in life anyway.
Now, if we do, then if somebody hits a goal and they achieve that goal and they don't have another bar above that, then they just become comfortable and complacent and dormant and don't continue moving. That's not the Michael Barich that I know. Now, transitioning, because you were an employee, now you're a business owner, okay? And I remember when all this happened, I remember you even talking to me about it, and I remember you getting started and some of the things you shared with me. And you started out one direction, then you ended up in another direction, then you ended up in another direction, which is a process I think everybody goes through that hasn't ever done what you've done. It's because you don't know what obstacles you're gonna hit. But one thing I do know is you have faced a lot of obstacles and you have done a lot of pivoting. Can you share some of that with us?
Are you asking me personally or professionally, Russell?
Sure.
Yes. So I've had a couple of health scares, which I think you guys know about. Survived a heart attack in 2015, and I had a stroke in January 22. So, that was really a couple of eye-opening experiences.
Sure, yeah.
You're challenged with your mortality, right? Um, and then moving on to the business realm, I really had no idea what I was going to do for dealers other than what I was doing in the dealer. So I had to figure out a way to bottle some of that to be able to share it with the dealers that I get a chance to work with, and utilize some of the key performance indicators and measuring sticks that I looked at for production and profitability, and then tie in the processes to try to create the best experience you possibly can for the customer. So that's really what the focus is. And what I find more times than not is that dealers are not maximizing their opportunity. So some fixed ops trainers and consultants go in and are doing a lot of teaching with advisors.
Right.
But I don't find that to be the most beneficial tool to the dealership, because if they can't figure out production, increasing throughput by the advisor will just curb and tame their appetite when the shop can't get the work out. So I think that what I've learned in life is that you have to have a solid foundation, right? You can't build a house from the roof down. And I like to walk into a dealership, especially with a new client, and assess the foundation. Are there any cracks? Is it on solid footing? Can we build the first floor? And I think that just like in school, just like in life, and just like in business, there's layers to it. So you have to have a solid foundation before you can have the first floor or the second floor, or get to level 301 or 401. And it's a complicated business, but I do believe that too many people have overcomplicated it. And I like to keep things very, very simple.
Mm-hmm. So, why don't you tell, for our audience, why don't you tell them exactly what you do? For those who don't know.
Well, I am a fixed operations automotive consultant and trainer. I go into dealerships and try to help them become more profitable and figure out a better way to do what they're currently doing that creates a higher level of customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction, because I think the two are critically important to the success of the department.
Well, I'll tell you, I see not only what you did in 3 years during the heart of the pandemic, turning that Murfreesboro Nissan store around. In addition to that, I mean, you reached way outside of your comfort zone there, which is how we met. But you also are an NADA graduate, and you know parts as well, or equally as you know service, front end to back end. You know it all, and I think that's different than a lot of trainers. And there's a lot of great trainers out there, but if you're to a point and somebody calls you in, you probably know them. And one of the other things I want to talk about is that you've really gotten yourself out there. I mean, you're going to conferences, you're spending some money. You're going to conferences. As a matter of fact, you talked a little bit about you hired your first and second, or maybe even now third employee and stuff like that. But I mean, you're at 4:30 in the morning, you're online, and you're in all these different clubhouse rooms and all these different Zoom rooms and going to all these different connections or conferences and making these really deep connections. Is that a pivotal part of how you arrived where you're at today in 2 short years?
Yeah, I think what makes me somewhat dynamic in the industry is I actually was a parts guy. That's how I came into the industry. I started as a parts counter guy with absolutely no experience whatsoever, or much knowledge about a car for that matter. I did graduate from the NADA Dealer Academy, and I think that was one of the best years of my life, from an opportunity to grow and learn. And I think that first and foremost, I'm a student. I've been a student since I was just a little wee man, right? So I think continuing to learn and continuing to evolve and chase and become the best version of myself is why I spend time on some of the social media platforms and channels and some of the rooms that we hang out in. And yeah, I've done a lot as far as going to some conferences, but I think my business is about meeting people. And I truly think that that's what's going to be the difference as we move forward.
Yep.
Is building and cultivating and continuing to create relationships. So the business keeps changing. And as we know, as we went through COVID, you know, there was a lot of pivots in our industry. But I think now as we get into the next venture of AI and how that's going to influence our business, I truly think that being able to do this, what we're doing right now, is what's going to change relationships in the future. And that when I have a customer that calls me at 10 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning or emails me and said, "Hey, Mike, I need you to be in Austin Monday," you know, I just adjusted my schedule and left on Father's Day to fly out to Texas so I could go be with a client that had a need. And for me, it's just about the relationships, and now my customers are the dealers. And so that's what I believe is the difference today for me in the relationships I have. And I think that's what's going to be the difference as we move forward. And you're right, I did hire my first employees. I brought on a partner, David Sparks, and he and I worked together in Chicago and spent a lot of time under one rooftop. But not only is he a super sharp guy, but he understands fixed operations as a whole, both parts and service, and we speak the same language. So that was what was critically important for me as I chose who I wanted to align with and how we're going to impact the industry as we move forward.
Excellent.
I don't interact with everybody 100% of the time because I inherently don't believe that most people know what it takes to be a fixed ops director. And some people are of the mindset that, you know, I have to be there opening doors and some of that stuff. So I'm not going to critique anyone else's opinion, but I'm going to serve mine. And my opinion is to take care of our customers and take care of our employees, whether it's the advisors or our technicians. I mean, I walk through the shop every morning and say hello. I give a fist bump or a high five or a good morning to everybody in the dealership every single day. And before we had electronic deposit, I used to hand out checks on Friday religiously and shake people's hands and thank them for coming to work
that's
for me.
cool. Yeah, that's cool. That says a lot.
And our customers are obviously getting more and more demanding. So, you know, I'm a big boy with broad shoulders, and I've been doing this for quite some time. So I'm not afraid of communicating with people. I'm certainly not afraid of confrontation. I've been in a lot of awkward situations that give me the opportunity to defend myself.
You get to build your own foundation in your own business, and that must be really refreshing. Have there been any common themes that you have found visiting clients that a lot of dealerships struggle with?
Yes. Fixed operations as a whole. I've been hearing for roughly the last 30 years that fixed operations is important, and it's never been more important. But it's kind of insulting for a guy like me that's been doing it at a high level for that long that it's finally important to the dealers. But the reality is the majority of the dealers, executive managers, and general managers in the business grew up on the variable side. And they didn't really see the need or have the want or desire to learn fixed ops. And so a lot of those people are exposed right now. And I say exposed, and I don't mean that in a negative fashion, but most of those guys are very successful, type A personalities, don't typically want to reach out and raise their hand for help. But that's what I do. When they have questions, I want people to call. I want to have the ability to answer those questions. And that's what makes it so unique for me. Every one of the dealers that I get a chance to work with are completely different. They have similar goals, but their operations are different. Their environments are different. Their dealership, their clients, their customers, their employees. And I think that, you know, ultimately, there's so much opportunity in the automotive industry
Right.
today. I really wish, I really wish I had half the knowledge today that I did when I grew up and came up through the business.
It's I believe you've heard me say this, that there's a paradigm shift going on. And I think it was David Long, or I don't even know who it was. I thought it was him, but maybe it was you, Michael. We're talking about the controllables, okay? You control, and reference to dealer principals and general managers on the variable side, right? So they're spending all this time, effort, and energy on new and pre-owned, and new. Well, the manufacturer could care less if you make money or not. They just want market penetration. Okay. And so you control about 20% of that deal. But why don't you control the controllables? You control 100% of used cars. You control 100% of fixed operations. And if we're having all this bleeding over all this time that you've been in the business, because I was one of those GMs that had somebody like you and still didn't know what I didn't know back then. But to have, it's like we're talking about the same thing we did 30 years ago, Michael.
That's correct.
Repeat, referral, and retention. What is different now? What do you see happening now? You see something happening, don't you?
I think people are taking it serious.
Yep.
I think that, we've talked about this many times, Russell, but according to NADA, you said this before, and I've actually read it. There's 16 non-franchise entities competing for every franchise rooftops business. And I got news for you. None of those 16 non-franchise entities ever sold a car before. They're taking our business. And I think that there was a certain amount of arrogance. There was a certain amount of, I don't give a shit. And I think the give a shit factor's changed. And I think people are getting intentional that in order to sustain our business model, we have to have repeat referral customers. And the reality is those people are way easier to do business with than a brand new customer to your store that's full of mystery and fear, the two lowest places you could be on the tone scale, because they've heard these horrible war stories about purchasing a vehicle or servicing a vehicle. And it puts guys like me behind the dealership glass door in a bad position. It has my entire career, but I worked every day for the last 30 plus years to overcome that stigma. And I think that, there's no better place in the world to get your vehicle serviced at other than a dealership and a franchise dealership. But I think we still need to work on the perception. Everybody has the opinion we're overpriced and least convenient. That's not true from my perspective. I think for most dealers, they provide quality service at an affordable price. And I think that everybody has a fear of being taken advantage of, whether it's on the sales side or the service side. But there's tools out there that kind of try to level the playing field, like IntelliCheck, like Repair Pal, like some of those other third-party entities that say you're paying a fair price. So I'm going to try and answer your question or not, but I think we have to get very intentional about creating the relationship, and it starts at hello and ends at goodbye. And there's a lot that happens in between, but you have to give them a warm greeting. You have to use a word like welcome or welcome back.
No,
if I say welcome, Charity, to my dealership, welcome to Bar Automotive, how are you going to respond to that?
Thank you.
Yeah. 99% or 100% of people will say thank you. Well, guess what? If you want to try to level the playing field and break the ice, I've got a customer thanking me before I ever did anything for him. How does that start off a relationship?
And that doesn't even cost money.
Yeah, it didn't cost anything. But it puts a smile on my face and put one on theirs, and it's a great way to have a relationship and build trust. We're in the preventative maintenance business, and for way too long, the dealerships have not educated our customers about a maintenance schedule. The manufacturers built the car, the manufacturers created the maintenance schedule, and as dealers, we just roll over and let the customer rub our belly that I'm here for an oil change and say, okay. we're not building any customer value. We're not creating any fans when we're not telling them the benefit of a tire rotation and a brake inspection. And with the wheels and tires off the vehicle, we can get an accurate look at your braking system and ensure your and your family's safety, right? The tire rotation is going to prolong the life and wear of your tires. The spark plugs need to be replaced because the coolant needs to be replaced because, and instead we just said, okay, you're here for an oil change, cool. Well, it doesn't say that anywhere in the maintenance manual. We need to get committed to making sure that our customers understand that it's more than just putting gas in at the tank or plugging it into the wall now. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, well, you know what I've realized? You don't accept that. Is I've learned so much from you over the years. And one of the things I thought was really cool is that when somebody says no to a brake job, it's only one of three things, right? It's either me, the machine, or the money. I mean,
Time, price, and trust, baby.
Yeah, that's it. It has to be one of those things. Why would they say no to a brake job when they got car seats in the car? I mean, that is a real safety issue, but yet they still do. And that's the kind of stuff that Michael teaches everybody how to overcome, but he also gets everybody on the same page. And you do that in such a way. I think some people, you're so confident, you're so matter of fact about how you deliver stuff. And some people, I think, don't know really how to take you sometimes, but it's like, is there an agenda or is there an angle? No, that's Michael, the MF, that's Michael. That's just the way he is.
Let me guess, at this very moment, another vendor is walking up to your lot with something shiny to sell. Before you head back and hide in your office, let me take a minute to tell you about my friend Don Pelham and my friends over at Global Dealer Solutions. They exist to help you find solutions to problems, some of which you might not even know you have. Best of all, they can manage as many products and services as needed for you, helping cut down on multiple vendor visits and distractions. And if you need anything, you have one number to call or text for the response all dealers like to hear. On it, GDS understands that successful dealerships require more than a set it and forget it mentality. And they'll be with you every step of the way, from setup, implementation, training, and support. And if necessary, they'll even cancel non-performing products for you. No pushback, no arguments, just a solution here executing course corrections as needed. Check out gdsdealers.com to learn the difference and set up a time to meet. Let's see if they're a good fit for you.
He tells you exactly like it is. I got to ask you a question, and I want to ask you, when somebody wants to employ you to help them, there's got to be some level of commitment or some preliminary thing you talk to them about or something. I mean, would you ever say no to somebody?
Yes, 100%. And I've done it.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the competitive thing that I mentioned previously, I've always had that, and there's no off button for me. It doesn't happen at midnight. It doesn't happen at 2:00 in the morning. And I think as I've made this pivot and moved on to be a small business owner, it's now my reputation, right? It's what my company can do for the customer. And if I feel like the customer wants me to sprinkle some pixie dust, wave a wand, hit them with some magic potion and fix their issues, I feel like that's really what the goal is, I'm going to say no and just say, unfortunately, I don't think I'm the right fit for you. There's plenty of other training companies and consultants out there that would say yes to that. I'm just not one of them. I want to partner and I want to align with somebody. Going back to that relationship thing that I talked about earlier, like that dealer is going to need me, not just today, but he's going to need me next month or in 6 months or in a year, because as I've been a student my entire life, his team has to go on that same journey, whether they like it or not. It's better to realize it now than pretend it doesn't exist. We need to continue on the education journey to create the best version of ourselves and the best opportunity for our guests. That's my strong belief.
It is indeed.
Yeah, I think that's a great aspect of your personality, Mike. I think that's what's going to make you successful in this journey. And My question to you is, how have you considered scaling? You mentioned you hired people. Is that how you've addressed scaling, is through hiring?
Yes. So this is a really, really, really good question for me because I have this conversation in between these two ears all the time about scaling. But I think that as I'm on this journey and in the infancy stage, it's more important to me, Charity, to do the right thing. I'm bound and guided by integrity. So scaling my business to get to the finish line faster isn't the goal. It's building some value with my customers and the employees of those customers that they can pick up the phone and call me. And I do believe in the ability to grow my company, but it's not from spending a bunch of money on marketing. Matter of fact, I don't spend any money marketing. All of my business is word of mouth advertising. And I talk to dealers about that. Like, if I do a good job, would you recommend? And then, of course, I remind them about that after the visit. And, I'm trying to get my money that way. So I do believe that one customer will become two, two will become four, four will become eight, so on and so forth. That journey is more important to me, and having a satisfied customer than getting a paycheck. So in the last 2 years, I've been to many dealerships across the country, and every single one of them, except for one, I'm not batting 1,000, has invited me back to their store. So going back to the question that you asked previously, is would I say no to a customer? Absolutely. But the customer can say no to me, right? Maybe I'm not the right guy for them. And then there's options and there's alternatives. So I don't know anything more than I do know now, and I'm continuing to learn and work on my skill set and assets, that we're going to be a formidable company in this industry for a long time.
Yes, I think so. And also, I think with a special niche, because of the way you do business and how you train and hold people accountable. This has been the last couple of years, particularly the last year, has been, all kinds of things happen. The three biggest things that happen to people that just freak people out, all of them happen to you. From moving, divorce, getting married, having kids, learning what it is to be a father figure, a mentor, starting your own business. And I feel honored to have been somewhat a part of all of that happening, and to be at your wedding in Vegas with Dana. Just what an amazing woman. So supportive. This is for you, Dana. This is, it's been a lot. How do you keep your sanity, Michael?
Great question. I really don't know. The gamut.
People want answers, Michael.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have them. I think my answer is one day at a time. I'm still a student in my family life, just like I am in my business life. So personally, I'm trying to grow. Spiritually, I'm trying to grow. Sometimes it's just as difficult as being in the professional world, right? I don't know what it's like to have children, but I now have 5 stepdaughters. I don't know what it's like to have a grandchild, but we now have guardianship of a 5-year-old young boy that's very impressionable. He's like a little parrot. If I say something, he's saying it later. And I have to be careful about that and have a heightened sense of awareness. So I don't have an answer to your question, Russell, other than I'm going through it, experiencing it, and learning from it every day.
One day at a time.
That's it.
I didn't know about the 5-year-old, so congratulations on that.
Well, thank you, Charity. It's been quite the journey so far. As a matter of fact, today's 5 months, Russell. 5 months ago today, we were in Vegas, and I was getting married. Time flies. We're having fun, buddy.
Yeah, and you were doing it all the way in the pink Cadillac, and Elvis Presley. I mean, it was great. And I understand that I can relate to that because I also got married there.
That's
Not
right.
quite like that. That was a showstopper, something that's memorable. You remember the rest of your life. And you guys are a phenomenal couple, as I've gotten to know Dana over the last many months. So she's a remarkable woman, man. She really
Yes,
is.
she is. I'm thankful and blessed.
Well, I haven't met the kids yet, but April and I will sometime soon.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry.
Maybe digital dealer. So we have a few announcements coming out on that too soon. But digital dealer might be a good time.
Absolutely.
Are you going out there for that?
Yeah,
I haven't made that commitment yet. I apologize. There's a lot happening in my world right now, and juggling all those responsibilities.
Just take it a day at a time, brother. Yep.
I haven't opened up that door yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing about the announcements.
Yeah. Well, my next question to you, Mike, is, you've gone through so many transitions in the last couple of years. Is there anything along the way that surprised you?
I think every day is somewhat a surprise. I get to do this for a living, right? I get to meet some amazing people, you included, Russell, part of that group. I get to work with people that are so diverse and so dynamic. We share the same background as it relates to automotive, but they have different interests. They have different family values. Just doing it with people, right? Love people more than you love cars. And I think that's what's been amazing for me, is just getting to learn and know more about people in our industry. And there are some really, really good people in this business. And I think that being at a SotoCon this year really was what really I took away from that, is there are some really good people in the industry doing some really dynamic and great things in their marketplaces, for their communities, just so many special things. And I don't think the industry gets enough praise for all the good they do, the charity that they provide in their communities. And so I'm hoping that I can continue that in my own way with my own companies, just like some of those dealers are.
You will. I did a thing not too long ago. I got. So this is. I have a stash that's larger than this out in the garage. I've been to, and this is. I'm not being paid for it or anything, but this is a plug for a SotoCon, because, like you'd mentioned, I've been to so many of these conferences, okay, that hands down, this was by far the most educational, best one, networking, no pitching, talking about the things that are the topics of today. People. Yes, products and profits, but people, management, leadership, AI,
People.
fixed operations. Yeah. And it
People.
was people. It was amazing though. I mean, it was.
There were some great humans there, and it was really refreshing, because there is a lot of chaos. There is a lot of outside influence that I wouldn't say is a positive all the time, but amongst all that negativity that happens in the outside world, we have to maintain focus on what we're doing, whether our position is in a dealership or as a strategic partner and vendor. And so it was just amazing. The humanity, the great people that were there was just inspiring. I left there completely recharged, completely refreshed, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah. I know. It's going to be, I mean, for the amount of people that was there, it was just like perfect for me. Right there, everybody in one location. It was just, man, it was great. But anyway, go ahead, Sherry.
The 2 points that I think are most important now would be the tire business for a dealer. You have to figure out a way to keep your customers, and tires are tied to retention. So the dealers have to get intentional about selling tires, and it's not the most comfortable talking point for most people, most advisors. So you have to teach them what is a tire, how does it work, what are the benefits, explain that to make sure the customer knows that we're not the tire business, we're in the tire business. So all the other retailers out there are crushing what the dealers are doing. We're doing 25% maybe of the market sales. And I think the aftermarket world, those tire distributors are starting to feel some of that pressures because guys like me are trying to make sure that we're winning that tire battle. And then I think we have to get really intentional about instilling confidence in the advisor to be able to share the information that comes from the multi-point inspection tool and share it comfortably. Like delivering news is delivering news. It could be good news, it could be bad news, but you still have to have the same conviction for both. It can't be two different deliveries. That just doesn't work. And I think that advisors are inherently afraid of rejection, and they're afraid to passionately speak like I do about fixed operations. Like, Charity, your vehicle's up on the lift and your vehicle needs brakes. And I could go on a whole spiel about why you need them and what the benefits are to you, and I'd take you out there and show it to you.
And I'd buy them.
Well, I would hope so.
Mike, why don't you tell us what's been the most difficult aspect of running your own business?
Well, for sure, it's being patient. The good Lord has blessed me with many, many things, but patience has never been one of them. So, you know, I mentioned I had a heart attack 9 years ago, and I think that was his way of saying, Mike, slow down a little bit, smell the roses, enjoy the time that you have here on this earth. And it caught my attention. And then quickly, I think that faded a little bit. And then I had a stroke to remind me again, hey, Mike, slow down. But the reality is our world is different than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I try to explain this to my dad, who just turned 90 this year. Like, the world moves to a different beat and a different drum than it did when you were my age, Dad. And I think that, you know, we have to be centered, we have to be focused, and we have to be appreciative for the blessings that we do have in our life. And I think that I want to continue that for my team, my family, and my dealers. And I think that if we have that focus as kind of a root cause, then I'll have an opportunity to continue to run a successful business. And I think that I understand that patience challenge that I'm faced with every day, and that's kind of a blessing for me, that I do know I can't race to the finish line. Like, I'm on the back nine of my life from a golf reference point. I'm not on the first tee anymore. I'm somewhere on the 12th or 13th hole, and there's only 18 in life. So I want to slow down. I want to enjoy it. I want to help and guide as many people as I can. And I want to teach people that you can do this business ethically, you can do this morally, and you can do it filled with integrity and do the right thing, not only for your people, but for your customers, for the dealer that you represent, for the community that you're involved in. And those are the things that I have to continue just to make sure that they keep me grounded, and then I have to be patient. I can't go out and change the industry tomorrow, but I can do it one day at a time for the next 10 or 12 or 13 years.
Well, you mentioned something really critical, which is a forever connection and bond, which, you know, I try to be as friendly as I can, but we run in the same circles. That you said some things, and if anybody didn't pick up on it, I'm going to reiterate it right now. Michael, by giving away what he has, is able to keep it and continue to grow. The guy is the epitome of a servant leader. I don't know where the patience thing you talked about, because I've seen you nothing but patient. Okay, you may have your moments, and when you do, I hope I don't ever see it, because I'd be scared to death if it really looked like that. But you were always patient with me. And I just think that anybody that approaches you from, you know, with character and integrity, and from a standpoint of, you know, understanding that it seems that all the circles we run in, the mantra is the same. It's about people helping people and giving back. Yeah, we want certain things to happen and we want to win. And I know winning is really important for you, but you also make sure that other people win around you. And that is a key ingredient that I've learned the hard way. And yeah.
Russell, I love you, buddy. You're no stranger to me. You're like family, and I'm thankful for the relationship. I'm thankful for so many things, but you know, we crossed paths at the right time, I believe, in my life, in your company. And, you know, obviously I'm a fan of FixedOPS marketing and what you're bringing to the dealership body out there. And from my perspective, it should be an essential tool for every dealer. I can't imagine why somebody wouldn't want to participate and be a customer of FixedOPS marketing.
Damn it, I agree.
Our friendship means the world to me. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I'm sneaking up or maybe just past 30 years in the industry, but I'm trying to compress time for the people that are behind me. And that if I can take that 30 years and squeeze it into a much shorter time to share the knowledge that I've learned and the education that I have with the people behind me, they can do what I did bigger, better, faster, and have better results. And so that is truly what one of the things that really lights the fire when I get up every day.
Yeah, well, it's evident. We know that there's a lot of people out there still doing the same thing that continue to, but there is changes taking place. People are starting to understand people are people. They're not just a commodity we bought and sold and traded and fired and hired, but to actually, the one universal thing we all have is that we try our best to let people know they count, they matter, they make a difference, and they're part of something unto themselves. And they're not just a number to be cast to the side. And not that they're still out there, they are, but we seem to find the people that really want to make some changes and they're not doing that anymore. And that's what's really big in the industry right now, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I run in a bunch of different groups, and you and I run in many of the same, but I participate with an entrepreneur group that are some of the most brilliant people that I've ever met and spoke with in my entire life. And one of the things that is so profound to me that was told to me multiple times over the last few months that I wish I could have learned this earlier. And even if I did, I wish I could have been able to share it with the dealers I worked for, that they absorbed and understood it. And it was this: in your company, you're going to have people that are your best leaders and most influential leaders, and positions in the company that you can't run without, right? But what I learned was, and what was told to me was that if you have one, you should have two. Because if that person is me and I was out because I had a health issue at the dealership, well, that taxed the team that I left behind, right? Yeah. And so if we weren't just a number in a dealership and we had a dealer that bought into that idea, I'm trying to figure out how I would justify that to a dealer principal as I'm looking through my expense profile and NADA, right? Why is supervision comp so high? Well, honestly, because if you have one, you should have two. And if we're going to grow our company and we're going to expand, I mean, there's a lot of dealers that you and I both know that have grown over the last few years. And some of them are scaling back because they didn't have the right capital, and that was people to take care of and lead their teams. So it's a really, really, really interesting concept. And I'm really trying to digest this as I look at my own business, and do I run it profitably or not? And can I afford to not have two if I need them? Because when you're a small business owner, we could get impacted greatly if we have health concerns or something happens to a family member, right? So I don't know. It's just this great journey that I'm on, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity.
Maybe the idea is always looking for someone to replace you, not actively, but in the event that something goes wrong, you have that person to replace you, and you can bump yourself into a different position if necessary. But we've heard that come up before, where people, they work their whole lives doing whatever it is that they do, and they're actively looking for people that would be great replacements for themselves in their business. So yeah, it's a really interesting topic, and I think there's a lot of merit to it. I'm going to ask you another question, Mike.
Be gentle.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Be nice.
This one is, do you feel like in the last few years throughout your journey, you've made any mistakes or you have any regrets?
I make mistakes every single day. I don't have any regrets. I'm more thankful than I am regretful about anything. I think that there's a reason why the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror, and I don't want to be cliche about the answer, but there's so much opportunity out in front of us that's where our attention and focus should be, and not in the rearview mirror thinking about the mistakes we've made or the things that we've done that we may or may not be proud of. There's a lot of humanity out there and a lot of opportunity to reach and touch people. And it doesn't just have to be about business, right? I had the ability to, let's talk about recruiting. I was in Texas and working with a dealer group, and I happened to go into a restaurant and met a fantastic young woman. And I thought, oh my God, she wowed me with customer service in a restaurant. And I wouldn't leave until I made sure I gave her my contact information and she was going to call me later. Because I thought she'd be wonderful for the automotive industry. There's just not enough women in the automotive business as a whole. And I think that and I'm talking about everybody listening to this podcast, we have to do better at recruiting and putting the right people in the right positions. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, but we just have to identify finding the right people to do the job, and it's people serving people. Wendy says it best, right? We hear it every day. Good morning, beautiful people.
Yep.
We just have to be very intentional about that. And I think that there's a lot of good people out there, but we have to actively go seek them if we're going to recruit them. And so one of the things that I've done my entire career is actively go out and seek to find those people. I will shake a stranger's hand. I will talk to somebody in a grocery store. I'll say hello to people at a coffee shop, wherever I'm at. I'm always looking to have engagement and have some type of contact, because I think I want to see what humanity's like on the outside. We have all this involvement with our cell phones, our iPads, our computer screens. Like, we need to just shake hands and kiss babies and do all of those things. So I'm not sure if that answered the question or not, but that's the best.
Well, it sounded good nonetheless.
Yeah, it is. Did that waitress server, did she ever call you? No?
Oh, of course she did, Russell.
All right.
You think she was going to say no?
No, I guess not. But
buddy, I not only got her to call me that night, I got her an interview the very next day and introduced her to CEO of the company, who's also a female. And they put her to work and hired her. She's working on the express side of the service department right now. And she told me when I was there last time that she's going to be the next CEO. And I absolutely love that. Yeah. There's a lot of discussion around leadership these days. And I do believe it can be taught, but you still have to have conviction to be able to be the student to receive the message. And I think that there's leadership memes or posts everywhere about good leaders empower people. They don't beat people, or they're not forcing them to do something. Well, let me just tell you that there's some of that has to happen, because as an experienced leader, when I left Chicago, I ran a company. I was there for 16 years. So I understand what it meant to empower our people and watch them grow. But when you take over a broken store like I had done in San Antonio, Texas, or I did here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I mean, those stores are troubled for a reason. There's a reason why they're looking for a new manager or a new fixed ops director. And in a lot of cases, it's a byproduct of the tail wagging the dog or the Indians running the asylum. And someone has to call attention to that. So where I think leadership comes in is it's malleable. Like, I have to come in and establish what the culture and vision of the store is going to be like. And then I need to make sure that everybody in the store, whether it's a porter, an advisor, a technician, understands their roles and responsibilities. And nothing happens on the customer side or a higher level of employee satisfaction until people can execute what their roles are at the dealership.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
What a great story too.
Wow. Okay, there's one here I have. Charity, you know more about what is the thing?
Oh, well, let's wait for that one.
Wait for that one? Okay.
Yeah, but this one's a great one for you, Mike. If you could give yourself some advice before you went on this journey, what would it have been?
Do the right thing each and every day. I think that it's easy to get caught up in the inner workings of the outside world and its influences on you. But if we just peel the onion back and go back to family, we go back to religion, we go back to helping people and doing the right thing, I think that would be my advice from me to me. While I might seem like a little teddy bear to you guys, I've probably done some things that I regret over my lifetime. And I don't think that serves any purpose today. Maybe that's knowledge, maybe that's experience, maybe that's me just getting old. But I don't think that serves anything. And I think when we get caught up in our own nonsense and we just put ourselves before our teams or our families, I think we're missing some tremendous opportunities in life to grow and expand and create a difference.
Yeah. And sometimes people just don't know what they don't know until the right person comes along and says something or smiles at them or a kind gesture or something. And at that moment, literally people in the funk, and then they could turn around and have a glorious day. It took me a long time to figure that thing out that you're talking about, the cliche, but it's oh so true about the windshield and the rear view mirror. It is. I've made so many freaking mistakes, and there's a saying in recovery, it's not regretting the past nor wishing to close the door on it. So some of those times where it was less than honorable, I don't think about the good times. I think about some of those times to keep me in check on where I need to be today. And the best way to because the regrets is just, you're in the rear view mirror, man. You can't get past it. A living amends. So every day I try to make a difference, and that makes amends for some of those things I did in the past. And connecting myself with people like you is an important part of my journey today. And I'm just, and the people that know you think the same thing. You married a freaking phenomenal woman, so she sees it, right?
I'm thankful and blessed. You know, I don't know a whole lot of people that get to do what I've done. And I kind of have some discussion again in my own mind, like God just loves me and is blessing me, or he's punishing me for my past to put me in this spot, in this situation I'm in. But I can tell you right now, I won't be throwing the white flag up anytime soon. And I'm going to take what we do to the masses and help every dealer I can from now until eternity.
Right on.
Be the best that they can be.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I heard something today about on one of the shows that we were on about a salesman going to a business owner to show him a vehicle. And then that business owner said, I don't know if we can do business with your company anymore because one of their other rooftops sold a car to another family member and it didn't go well. So that business owner said to the salesman, I don't think we'll be able to do business together because of it. And part of me thought, well, that's great because we should reward businesses with our business and be good patrons to them. And then I thought, man, I've done a lot of wrong in my life. Maybe that's not really the best thing. But I think at the end of the day, if we focus on doing business with the right people that treat people with dignity, courtesy, respect, I think that's what's going to continue to cultivate humanity as we move forward.
No doubt. There's a wake up call for sales, right? Because what happened during COVID and what's happening now. So, at the end of the day, we can muddle it up with you name it, this or that, but it all boils down to relationships and people, period.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mike, what are you most proud of?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't know that I'm most proud of anything. That's a tough question for me to answer, Charity. I think I'm most proud of where I'm at today and for weathering the storm of how I got to this point, right? So again, we can spend time in the windshield and looking forward, or we could spend time looking into the past. But I don't want to spend any time looking into the past, and I want to continue to look forward. And I'm proud of what I've done and how I've done it to get to this point. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to continue to help people in the future.
Great answer.
Yeah, you should be proud of your resilience. Yeah. I mean, It sounds like it's you against the world, and you're doing great.
It feels like it sometimes, Charity.
But one thing about you is that you get up every day and you go after it, and I think that's a key ingredient to success, whatever success is. But it's successful people do daily what average people do occasionally, and you get up every day and do it, man. Obstacles, you get knocked down. This doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That's life. Oh, well, you keep smiling and talking to people and showing up for people. And that's all that matters in the end, man.
Amen, Russell. I couldn't agree more.
Well, this is the last one.
The last one?
The last one, because that's all we have time for. But what's next? What are you looking for in the future?
You're asking me all these difficult questions, Charity. Come on.
He is good at that.
I think what's next is the opportunity to grow my business and help dealers. I'm super, super, super excited about that. So not only helping dealers internally figure out how to do their business bigger, better, faster, more profitable, higher employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction. But I think I have a story to tell. And I think that I would like to get up on stage and tell that to the world at some point in time. And I'm thankful for the opportunity you guys have given me multiple times to be here with y'all, sharing some of it. But I think I have a lot to share over the last 55 years. And I just want to tell that story. Like, people can do it. I wasn't born with a golden spoon in my mouth, right? I've taken the opportunity that was provided to me and worked my ass off every day to get to this point. And I'm going to continue to do it. So if I could get what I wanted to in the future, I would do some speaking for a living as well.
Well, you're going to. I believe it. You do have something to say. And the way you say it is profound. And what I've realized, because I'm starting to talk more and more about people want to hear the human side. They love and they see what you're doing, but how did you get where you got? What are the trials and tribulations? Because we all go through them. We all fail. It's an important ingredient to being successful. As a matter of fact, fail. You have to do that, but you keep getting back up. And those stories are what really define us and are critical to who we are. I think it's really important. And I think your time is coming. I really believe your time's coming.
Well, I hope so, Russell. I hope you're right. But I feel like I have a lot to say and I just don't quite know how to share yet. I think that because of the trials and tribulations and some of the punishment I think the world can hand out to you, that I speak with a lot of passion that sometimes can turn angry, but it's not anger, it's passion that drives me in this business. And I might throw a profanity laced tirade in there. And I might say things to people that other people wouldn't, but it's out of pure sincerity. It's out of truth. It's out of kindness. I don't want to have to tell you what you want to hear. I want to tell you the fucking truth. And that's what I do.
And that's what you get with Michael Barich.
Amen.
Amen. No, really.
No, it's nice. It's refreshing. Like the beat around the bush stuff. A lot of people don't like it.
No, that's what people love and trust. That's why I gravitated towards him. And I had to learn who he was when we first got together in those early days at Murfreesboro Nissan. But I knew he was an unknown quantity that is now a known quantity, that he's real. That's just it. He's real. So, okay. So listen, I got something I want to say here, but how do people get a hold of you, Michael? How do people get a hold of the MFTT?
The best way to do that is on my cell phone. You can reach me at area code 708-744-5425. And I'll tell you a funny story about that phone number is I got it when I took my very first management position in a car dealership. And it was 1993 as a parts manager at a Nissan store. And I still have the same phone number 30 plus years later. So hey. I think what you get from me is a lot of honesty, a lot of truth. I'm not running from anybody either. And I think having that number for 30 years says a lot about, you know where to find me if you want to find me. But I just want the opportunity to help people and share that story. And I think that throughout my career, I've been blessed to do what I've done. And I'm blessed right now to be able to do it with other dealers and automotive groups and other people that, you know, when they're calling me at 10 o'clock at night saying, oh my God, we had our best month ever and thank you. And I mean, the phone calls I get are really, truly rewarding for the travel, the late nights, all the stuff that comes along with the job. But those successes, you know, those people earned it because they took whatever I said, whatever resonated with them, they took that information and did something with it. I didn't do it for them. They did it. Yeah. So they have a lot to be proud of. They have
empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So listen, Charity, thank you for all that you do. Michael, you can probably edit this out. The motherfucking Tennessee Titan, then and now a very special broadcast for WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops to all of you out there. Thank you for all that you do for this industry. It is truly amazing. I encourage you to like them, love them, reach out, share them when all the shorts come out, listen to the whole thing, because I'm telling you, there's something you can learn from talking to Michael Barich. Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate it.